Brilliant. We're recording. Fantastic. So my name is Kate Cherry. I'm the Regional Director of the Athena Network in Bedfordshire and St Albans. I wasn't looking at the camera, I just realised. And I'm joined here today by Victoria Grant, who is a solicitor in company commercial and commercial property at Machin Solicitors in Luton, or Luton and Berkhamsted, isn't it? And for those who know what we do in Athena, we are monthly membership-based networking where our members come along every month to our meetings and they get a minute to say what it is they do and what's going on for them and give a call to action. And in November, Victoria talked about some of the privacy stuff that might be changing due to Brexit. And I jumped on that immediately. So that's one of the benefits of doing your 60 seconds and changing it every month as well, and talking about different things and what's relevant here and now. Firstly, you keep people's attention, because if you're saying the same thing every month, you can, send some people to sleep and you don't get your message across. But saying something key and current like that, it got small businesses' ears perked up. It's like, oh, hang on, hadn't really twigged that potentially all this stuff we've done with GDPR and all of that might be changing as we're no longer part of the European Union from January. So, Victoria, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Thanks for joining me today. Obviously, really hard to keep on track of what's going on at the moment, because as at recording, we still don't know if we have a deal or not. So thank you for just telling us what we do know for now, because I think if we wait too long, it's going to be over Christmas and people aren't going to be necessarily focusing on the right thing. They'll be focusing on the right thing, which is their families. So tell us a bit about what it is you do.
So, as Kate said, I'm in company commercial and commercial property. I'm a trainee solicitor, so I qualify next July, and I'm in my third out of fourth seat. So my team essentially works with businesses and shareholders in relation to mergers and acquisitions, shareholders agreements, and also in relation to the commercial property side, working with landlord and tenants, and reviewing lease agreements, that kind of thing. So obviously Athena is made up of female businesses and female entrepreneurs. So we thought it would be a good way to get together and just discuss the implications of Brexit and GDPR, and whether any of our Athena members need to act now, and if they need to make any changes to their terms and conditions, and just what they need to be aware of as we approach the new year.
Absolutely. So tell us a bit about the Brexit implications.
So, as we all know, on the 31st of January 2020, and we officially left the EU. But what's been happening is we've been part of a transitional period, so that we're trying to negotiate a deal. And as Kate said, that as of yet, we haven't got a deal. But regardless, whether we leave the EU with no deal or we do manage to negotiate a deal with the EU to navigate our future working relationship, there will be some changes that people need to be aware of in regards to their data. So at 11 p.m. on the 31st of December, we officially leave. So I think we've got about 14 days left. And at the moment, GDPR is an EU regulation, but it has been implemented into the UK legislation in the Data Protection Act 2018. So it's difficult to really understand what the implications of Brexit will be at this stage, but it is likely to have significant impacts on taxes and duty, the movement of people, import and export of goods, and of course, data protection.
Amazing. Well, not amazing, but it's going to be interesting to see what's left, what comes out of it, what stays, what doesn't. So what exactly is data protection as it pertains to us?
So I feel like everybody knows that when GDPR came in I think May 2018, the whole purpose of it is obviously technology's improved, and we're all using, especially at the moment with the pandemic, everything's happened remotely, and all these companies have huge data storage, and we need to make sure that data protection is governed. So it's basically regulated by the ICO, which is the Independent Commissioner's Office, and they ensure that companies are holding people's personal data to a standard. So data can be anything from names, delivery details, IP details, HR and payroll. So anything that basically the information given is able to define who you are as a person. So it's important that we have these laws in place so that our data is regulated, so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands, so that there's been like data hacking scandals, so ensuring that we have our data is protected is really important. So once we leave the EU, obviously we have GDPR, which has been implemented into the UK legislation. So it's not like we will have no data protection, but if you're a company that deals with EU clients or you're sending data to the EU, then there are some things that you may need to be aware of and some changes that you need to be made.
Okay, so most of us are small businesses. Obviously, a couple of years ago now, went through the process of registering at the ICO. So that obviously that's UK based, so that doesn't change.
Mm-hmm.
And we renew every year, don't we? So what exactly, or what is actually changing?
So if you are a UK business that sends or receives data to the EEA, so the European Economic Area, you need to be aware of the changes that are being made. And then also, if you're a UK business with a European presence or have European customers, there will also be changes that you need to be made. And these are coming into force from the 1st of January. So although there's no clear deal in place, the data protection, your data protection in your terms and conditions will need to be updated in readiness for the changes that are being made. The ICO have published information on their website, and it is really, it's very clear and cohesive, and they are going to take a pragmatic approach with enforcing data protection, because obviously there's not going to be another transitional period from the 1st of January. This is going to be it, and things might constantly change if we do negotiate a deal or we don't have a deal. But at the moment, the ICO is saying that this is how it is, and these are the things that you need to be doing. So from the 1st of January, if you haven't got these things in place, they're going to be pragmatic and they're not going to be issuing fines. But at the same time, people need to be aware of the changes so they can implement them into their terms and conditions and make sure that they're abiding by UK and EU law as soon as possible.
Okay, got it. So that's what companies need to be doing right now, what businesses need to be doing right now, yeah? So sole traders, small businesses and larger companies.
Yeah, so if you are transferring data within the EEA and to the UK, then there are changes that you need to make. So at the moment, if you're sending data into the EEA, so for example, I'm sending data to France, this will be permitted, this is fine. It will be reviewed by the UK, but at the moment, because GDPR is already implemented into our legislation, the UK can't turn around and say, oh, we don't think that France has got good enough data protection. The issue really is sending data from, say, France to the UK. That's where the issue arrives. So once we leave the EU, we're going to be treated as a third country. So the country within the EEA will need to ensure that the transfer mechanisms are in place. At the moment, the EU are considering whether it will apply an exemption to the UK so that we have adequate data protection regulations, that we don't need to have any further mechanisms in place, but that hasn't been confirmed at this stage. So people may encounter difficulty if they're trying to receive data from the EEA. So what the ICO at the moment are recommending is the implementation of SCCs, which are standard contractual clauses. And this is the best way to make sure that data is able to keep flowing to the UK. The ICO have actually on their website put a little link to the SCCs, as I said, standard contractual clauses. And it's basically a contract that's entered into between the exporter and the importer, and that ensures that the data is protected.
And so how can, well, I guess, so for example, the element of GDPR that was relating to how we store data, that's, like you say, it's embedded in UK law anyway, so there's not necessarily a change in that respect. But if you've customers abroad in the European Union, then that's where you're going to need to look at what it is you're doing. And how can Machins help?
So we are providing advice in regards to the transfer of data, and also in relation to if you've got a client base in the EU, you may need to instruct an EU representative. The issue is that once we leave the EU, who is the lead authority may change. So obviously we've got the ICO, who's our regulator, but which will regulate the UK activities. But if you're within the EEA, then you will be governed by one of their regulators. So what the EU are saying is that if you've got a UK business, but you've got a client base within the EEA, then you'll need to ensure that you're complying with both UK and EU law. and you may need to appoint an EU representative to basically be a body within that country. So this is only applicable if you do not have an office within the EU, then you will need to have a EU representative.
Okay, got it. So, for example, with my other business, we are open for business in Poland. So, as a company, we have an office out there. So there'll obviously be coordination from a company perspective between the two, between the UK and Poland there. But for me, as an independent business owner within that company, I speak to clients. I might speak to clients abroad, so I might need to think about how I'm sharing data outside of the system that's governed by the company. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you have an office within the EU or the EEA, you're generally quite you'll be okay. But it's more for businesses within the UK but don't have any physical presence in the EEA. So if you appoint a representative, this person will act as your local representative, and individuals with data protection authorities. So basically, in all your terms and conditions, you will need to have their reference in order for you to continue trading and have that data flowing within the EEA.
Okay, got it. Perfect. Thank you so much for your help. What's the best way to get in touch with you?
So if you visit our website or follow me on LinkedIn, if you drop me an email, that'd be great.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your time. It's such an important topic. And with everything that's going on, I think, in the world at the moment, it's easy to kind of forget some of the implications that we were going to be spending the second half of this year thinking about, and instead we're thinking about obviously the pandemic and other impacts to businesses. So it's great to have that reminder and sort of that little alarm bell of, oh, hang on, we need to be focusing over here as well. But thank you so much for your time. Wherever you're seeing this, you can obviously click on our tags. So I'll have tagged Victoria, Machin's possibly where possible as well. And you can also contact me if you would like to get in touch with Victoria. So thanks so much, and I'll see you back at our Luton. You're in our Luton group, aren't you?
Yeah.
I will see you back in January
Yeah,
at our
looking forward
meeting.
to it.
Have a fantastic time off, everybody, if you're able to take time off, regardless of who you're going to be able to be with. Thank you.
Thank you.